Bueno, seguimos, señores, en esto que hacemos llamar Explos. Gracias por acompañarnos. Corran la voz, que tenemos una entrevista para no perdérsela. Luquitas, todo tuyo.
Muy bien, bueno, como los prometí, tenemos a un invitado especial. Es de Ohio, es nacido en Leo. Su prontuario lo llevó a tocar con Glenn Hughes, con miembros de UFO, en el G3, con Chad Smith, con los Bombastic, con Asia, con John Payne de Asia, Glenn Hughes, ya lo dije, y Cosmosquad. Es nada más. Y recientemente estuvo tocando con Alan Parsons también. Es uno de los mejores guitarristas de todo el planeta y sacó 7 discos solistas más 6 en vivo, decenas de discos grabados, y es nada más y nada menos que Jeff the Walker B. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good, good. I was checking one of the albums of the Bombastic, and I saw Jeff the Worker B. KOLLMAN. I was like, okay, there we go.
Hola.
So I was anxious to talk to you. Oh, let me translate in Spanish a little bit. Bueno, le estaba diciendo de que estaba viendo uno de los discos de él, de Chad Smith, y que le habían puesto la abeja trabajadora, ¿ok? Le voy a preguntar un poquito cómo fue tocar en el Baked Potato. How was playing live again at the Baked Potato with people, with real people?
It was really special. I can't even tell you. It had been like 14 months since we played. And ironically, right before the lockdown, that was the last show we played, was right before the I think it was like March 13th, we played the Baked Potato, and then they closed the venue the next day. I think one more show, and that was it. So it was really special to play in front of a full audience, sold out crowd, and man, I mean, it's been too long. So, you know, I think we're at the end of a pandemic called an endemic, but stuff is still kind of canceling because there's a little concern. So,
yeah.
You know, fingers crossed, we'll see.
Yeah. Bueno, lo que dijo es que fue impresionante poder volver a tocar. Ellos casualmente habían tocado, creo que la última fecha en el Baked Potato, y luego cerraron, y bueno, finalmente fue un momento especial para ellos volver a tocar con gente. There was full capacity, fue todo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. And how was how was the vibe? Was the people sort of did you sense like people was relaxed?
Like, yes. Yeah. They were ecstatic. Epic.
Awesome. Bueno, la gente estaba súper alocada y estuvo súper bien. Y bueno, vamos, mirá, ya tenemos las primeras experiencias de tocar en vivo. Vamos a hablar de, no sé qué, ¿dónde lo puse acá? Vamos a hablar de el nuevo disco que lo acabo de presentar recién, que es East of Heaven. Ok, le voy a preguntar un poquito de qué se trata el disco. Tell us about the new album.
I started it right when the lockdown started. I just started writing, and well, I'm always writing, but I realized that I need to put out a record, you know, if I'm not going to be touring. And it's always an excuse, right? If you're too busy touring, you're like, well, yeah, we're on the road, so we're not recording. And so it was nice to get something out, and it kind of reflects some of the emotion of being locked down. You know, It's not all high energy. Some of it's really like reflective and introverted and a different kind of take. It's a completely different record for me. Yeah.
Wow, bueno, lo que nos decía es que empezaron a grabarlo justo cuando empezó el encierro de la pandemia y que tiene distintos momentos el disco. Hay momentos bastante introvertidos que reflejan un poco cómo se sentía Jeff en ese proceso del disco, ¿no? Así que, pero bueno, there's two guys playing there. I mean, obviously it's Shane, Who are the other two guys? ¿Quiénes son las otras dos personas que están tocando?
Jeff Big Red Marshall on the Les Paul there, and I've known him for, you know, he was one of the first buddies I met when I moved to Los Angeles. Incredible guitar player, and we have a band called Bleeding Heart, which is built around this harp player Paul Vallis from England, and a great band, you know, but completely like traditional blues. And the bass player is Corey McCormick, who plays with Lucas Nelson and the Price of the Real, and he also plays with Neil Young. I think he used to play with Chris Cornell, and you know, he's had a lot of gigs, and wonderful player.
Because on the album, I didn't see them in the credits, right?
That's top secret. We can't say.
Oh, okay. They are somewhere. Okay. So, let's talk about
obligations.
Okay. Bueno, estaba Corey, que ha tocado con Lucas Nelson y con Neil Young, y también tocó en la guitarra el señor Marshall, que es un amigo de él, que fue una de las primeras personas que conoció acá cuando vino a Los Ángeles. You were living in Arizona before here, right?
So when I left Toledo, Ohio, when I moved, so, you know, 25 years old, I moved to Arizona for a year. But that was that was 1995. I lived in Arizona for like a year. And then I moved to California. And I've been there for 25, 30 years. I can't remember.
Right. Bueno, él vivió un tiempito, solo un año en Arizona, después vivió acá el resto del tiempo. Obviamente viene de Toledo. No Toledo, España, Toledo, Ohio, ¿ok? Yeah. Le voy a preguntar un poquito de Cosmosquad. Creo que hubo una reunión con Barry Spark por una canción que fue A Jam for Jason Baker. So you reunited with the guys, right? With Barry and Shane, right?
Yeah, I met both of those guys in the studio in Arizona when I moved from Toledo. They were like the first musicians I met on the way to California. And they were working out of a studio in Phoenix called Phase 4, playing with Michael Schenker, and they were recording a record called Written in the Sand. And that's how we formed Cosmosquad, through that meeting.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was the beginning of the band?
Yeah.
Bueno, la banda se formó con ellos dos, con Barry Spark. Barry Spark lo deben haber visto en Dokken, con Ted Nugent, con un montón de bandas. Y se acaba de reunir con él y con Shane, que fue el primer trío de Cosmosquad, que fueron las primeras personas que él conoció cuando estuvo en Arizona. Y ahí fue cuando, bueno, ahora So you got together for this song for Jason Baker, right?
Yeah, so when that came about, we were on our second album, Squadrophenia, and while we were writing the record, I think it was Lion Music was putting out A Warmth in the Wilderness, and they asked me if I wanted to participate in writing a song or covering one of Jason Becker's songs. And I looked at the list of songs, and it was like, okay, this one's too difficult. No wonder nobody asked to play it. Okay, maybe too difficult. I don't love that one. Too difficult. And then I thought, why not write a song and then ask my rock star guitar player friends to contribute a solo? You know, in my mind, I was thinking a guy like Steve Morris, who's busy with, you know, the Dregs and Deep Purple and these bands, he doesn't have time to write a song for Jason. I'm sure he'd love to, but, you know, this is happening right now. Rather than that, just contribute a solo, and I'll do the hard work of, you know, putting the band together and recording the bed track and, you know, writing the changes. And so I had called Vinnie Moore, Chris Poland from Megadeth, Jeff Watson from Night Ranger, and that ended. And then Jeff brought in Steve Morse. And we also had an alternate take with Pat Lockman, who was the guitar player for Halford, who ended up being the lead singer for Damage Plan with Dimebag from Pantera.
Wow.
So it's a whole you know,
Yeah.
musical family tree, right?
Beautiful. Bueno, el tema que le habían propuesto hace ya varios años de hacer una canción para Jason, y él empezó a ver la lista de canciones y empezó a ver que no, esta es muy difícil, esta también es muy difícil, entonces se le ocurrió por qué no componer una canción para él y llamar a algunos amigos. Y ahí fue cuando apareció Vinnie Moore, lo trajo también a los que mencionó ahí, que ya me olvidé los nombres, y también, bueno, Jeff Watson de Night Ranger, y Jeff trajo a Steve, entonces, bueno, se juntaron varios músicos, varios guitarristas de primera, y terminaron haciendo este jam para Jeff, para ayudarlo con el tema de sus cuentas, ¿no? Y curiosamente, hablando de Cosmosquad, yo hay un disco, there's an album that I have here, that curiously Kevin gave me this one, like I don't know when it came out, because I saw him at the NAMM show. We ran to each other at the NAMM show a few times, but the thing is, I asked him to sign one of these. I have a few of some of your music here. You know, I have Sharing Skin. Okay, Sharing Skin is no longer with me. The Chad Smith, you know, Cosmosquad. You gave me this one years ago.
Yes.
Years ago when I interviewed you. Well, the thing is, the thing about the Morbid Tango is the name. Why Morbid Tango? ¿Por qué el nombre Morbid Tango?
Well, you know, what's interesting is we were almost finished with the record, and Shane says, you know, we need to start the record with a tango. Let's just create an intro and build a song off that. I'm like, tango? Like a traditional tango? And, you know, things morph into something. So, I mean, the song obviously is not a tango. And interesting enough, I sent it to Steve Vai. And we've crossed paths, but we were never in touch regularly. And I'd reached out to him after playing with him once, right after the record came out. And he's so gracious. His email, and we corresponded, and he said, you know, I'm on the road right now, but when I get home, I'm going to listen to this, and I'll let you know what I think. So he emailed back, and he said, you know, I've never heard a tango actually done in this manner. He goes, this is so different than anything I've ever heard. And, you know, and he gave me like a play-by-play of, you know, it's 4 minutes and 20 seconds, it goes into this thing, and wow, what's happening at 6 minutes. It's just amazing how, you know, how he really listened intently. And, you know, these are our heroes. Eddie Van Halen's my hero, and Jeff Beck and Eric Clapton. And I would say Steve Vai is more of a hero that's, you know, not that much older, maybe 10 years older. And it was just wonderful to hear his take on it. Yeah, and to get feedback in a way, because you don't know, we kind of do what we do, and you know, it's just no holes barred. Morbid tango comes from, like, you know, when you get philosophical about a song or a concept of a record, it's like we've been through so much in our lives where things happen, like you could have, you know, your brother passing away or somebody, whatever, just random stuff that happens, and you almost have to dance your way through to kind of work your way through life. You almost do this tango, this dance.
Yeah.
Try to get to the finish. The goal is to enjoy your life through the tragedy, right? Through all the things that come at you. You don't see them coming, you know, and we all have them. Everybody has a story. So everybody does what we call the morbid tango, the dance through life to get through. And so that's kind of the concept of it.
Right.
I don't know how much the song depicts that, but that's kind of the idea of the album, you know?
Yeah.
On Death's Door, and, you know, the crosses, you know, there's a whole kind of theme to that. And I think humor gets people through, really, just to enjoy it, and, you know, whatever happens, you kind of brush it off and you keep moving forward, and not so much baggage. Not to baggage in your life, That's to translate.
Yeah, I will try to. Bueno, dentro de todo lo que me explicó del disco de Morbid Tango, lo voy a mostrar de vuelta acá, si lo tengo a mano, es que le habían propuesto, estaban trabajando con el disco, querían poner el tema del tango de alguna manera, y si bien el primer tema es Morbid Tango, no es tango, pero bueno, el tema que se lo había pasado a Steve Vai, y Steve Vai con él han estado en contacto, no mucho, pero han estado en contacto, y bueno, él ha también opinado acerca de esto. No entendí bien la participación completa de Steve, pero lo mencionó, y resulta que es un poco el disco con respecto al proceso de la vida, porque él perdió a su hermano de una manera trágica, cosas que le han pasado en la vida que lo han llevado con idas y vueltas, con vaivenes, que es un poco como se baila el tango, con cruces y ese tipo de cosas que le han pasado a él también. Y eso se ve reflejado en este Morbid Tango. Actually, this one, yeah, you already signed this one, so yeah, you don't need to. Just the last one. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you might see, I collect some music, so yeah. Eventually. Let me ask you about cómo terminó trabajando para Alan Parsons. How did you end up playing for Alan Parsons?
So I got a call from David Pack, who's the singer for Ambrosia. Yeah. So him and Alan are like best friends.
Who?
And
You?
Alan and David are best friends.
Oh, okay.
And so David Pack, I had actually done a couple of shows with him in Los Angeles area just prior to meeting Alan, but that led up to getting the call. And funny enough, he called my home number, which I didn't even know he had. And I normally don't even pick up the phone.
Really?
I remember having a Japanese house guest at the house, and I was working on songs for California Transit Authority with Danny Serafin.
But Serafin, yeah.
Bill Champlin, and those are really difficult music to play, and I don't do it all that often. I sub for Mark Bonilla, who's in the band, right?
Yeah.
So I pick up the phone, and it's David Pack, and he's having dinner with Alan, and he's very how do you put it? Passionate and aggressive. Like, okay, here's what's going on. They call it type A personality. I think you're perfect fit for Alan Parsons. He needs a guitar player right now. So what you should do is you should go meet up with him tomorrow, Capitol Records. He's recording there. I was like, wow. And he goes, let me put Alan on the phone. So Alan gets on the phone. Alan's like, drinking his wine.
Yeah.
Hello, Jeffrey. And I was like, wow, Alan Parsons.
knows my name.
What a pleasure to speak with you. And he's like, well, it was nice to chat with you. And let me put David back on the phone. That was like our conversation. And then David's like, okay, Capitol Records tomorrow, 12 o'clock, they're remixing Eye in the Sky for 5.1. You're the guy in the band. If you're available, you should go down and audition for him.
Wow.
And so that's what happened. Yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. Bueno, le estaba preguntando cómo terminó tocando para Alan Parsons. Alan Parsons es el que ha producido los mejores discos de Pink Floyd, por si no lo conocen, Alan Parsons Project, por si no lo conocen. Pero bueno, el tema es que es una eminencia y lo terminó a través de David Pack, el cantante de Ambrosia. Él tocó con David en un par de shows y son mejores amigos entre ellos, entre David y Alan. Lo llamaron a él y David le dijo, mira, te va a llamar Alan, lo llama directamente Alan a la casa, al teléfono de la casa, y atiende creo que la hija. Bueno, al final le dice, mira, mañana a las 12 te quiero en el Capitol Records, que es acá nomás. Si querés, venís, haces la audición, pero creo que ya vas a ser guitarrista para el nuevo disco que tengo que sacar. Así que muy lindo hablar contigo, todo bien. Y bueno, lo trajo a bordo y terminó tocando con Alan Parsons, que es un gran logro para cualquier músico hoy en día. Nos quedan un par de minutitos nada más, así que Le voy a preguntar un poquito cómo fue la experiencia con G3, ¿ok? How was your experience playing with Satriani and Schenker in G3?
The G3 with Michael, it was, I mean, he was one of my heroes, so very powerful to meet him and play with him. But it was probably the darkest time of his career. Like, I'm sure if you interviewed him, he would say, yeah, that was, he dyed his hair black, wore these sunglasses. He looked like somebody else,
Yeah.
And I don't know his whole history of his personality on stage because, I listened to the records, seen him live a couple times. So I can't comment on that, but there's definitely ups and downs, with Michael playing. He was great to the band, and then maybe not as great to other people. Put it this way, they called me to do the tour once again. I said no.
Well, so Satriani did you some backup?
So Michael's not drinking anymore, and he's playing great. And that was 20 years ago, and it's a long life. So
yeah.
All I can say is he treated me with respect.
Oh.
And we had great moments on stage. And when he wasn't on stage, I really didn't see him. So, yeah.
Well, it was an experience, another experience.
Oh, it was wonderful.
Tiger.
Well, the thing was with playing with Michael, Uli Roth was on the tour. And Uli John Roth is one of my heroes, and it was a time where he had put out 3 records in the 80s, but then we didn't hear from him in the 90s. He put out Earthquake, Firewind, and Beyond the Astral Skies. And they were these epic guitar records. And then we didn't hear from him. I'm like, is this guy still alive? And then I looked at the tour schedule. I'm like, okay, we're playing France, Italy, Germany, Spain, blah, 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 Rome, you name it. And I'm like, Uli Roth is on the tour? So he and I became friends during the tour.
Oh.
And, and we've played together since and chatted on the phone and hung out. And it's, wonderful. I would have never dreamed of having that relationship with such an iconic and obscure musician, really.
Yeah, totally, and very nice person in person. I met him too, and he's really a cool guy,
Yeah.
Bueno, con G3 fue una experiencia interesante porque Michael Schenker en ese momento estaba pasando por un momento de bastante oscuridad, se había tenido el pelo de oscuro, usaba anteojos, estaba en una onda muy, muy diferente, ha tenido altibajos. Y bueno, en el show lo hizo, lo llamaron en ese momento, él tocó, lo ha respetado mucho, ha estado todo bien, pero bueno, si lo volvieran a llamar a Jeff, obviamente ya va a decir que no es lo que quiere volver a hacer. Fue un momento interesante en ese tiempo. Y estábamos hablando de que en la gira también estuvo Uli John Roth, el otro guitarrista de Scorpions. Michael Schenker estuvo con Scorpions, pero también mayoritariamente con Michael Schenker Group. Uli John Roth fue el guitarrista, creo que original de Scorpions y un ídolo para Jeff. Y terminaron siendo amigos, se conocieron en la gira por Europa. Y hoy, es el día de hoy que siguen siendo amigos, grandes amigos. Y Uli es una persona muy educada y muy agradable. Vamos cerrando la entrevista. We're gonna be giving a closing of the interview, and I would like to ask you, what would you like to ask to my future guest?
Well, I would like to ask the guitar fans a question. What guitarist has a preferable sound live over the recording?
Okay.
Maybe they had a recorded guitar sound that was good or great, and then you see them live and it's something that much greater.
What will be yours?
Randy Rhoads.
Randy Rhoads.
I don't think they quite captured his sound on the record, though he's my favorite. When I saw him live, and heard the live recordings, it was another level, you know?
Yeah.
I would say, like Edward Van Halen, they captured and really enhanced his sound in the studio from the demos. I think Ted Templeman and Don Landy did an incredible job. And Eddie live, Edward, was right there with it. But it wasn't better or worse, just live. Where Randy Rhoads live was like, wow, so much greater.
Well, there was a band that I had most of their albums, and it was like an okay band. I love it, but when I saw them playing, it was King's X.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
you know them, right? I mean, Don Pini.
King's X is my favorite band, period.
Oh, okay.
They're my Queen, my Led Zeppelin, my Beatles. That's my favorite. And I would say my favorite band because how many records they've put out, same three guys, and they've kind of been beat up by the music business, right? They've had all the worst breaks, but they still stick together and they write these great songs. And it's just such a vast and just massive discography. And I mean, I could just talk about the Drummer's Pocket alone for hours. What a great band.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if I had to hire a band for my party, I would say maybe like, something from early Van Halen or, Queen era. But if I look at it as a whole and a band where, each guy's singing and participating, and there's a vulnerability in that band that's also, brutally honest and original. And so I kind of realized one day, I think that's my favorite band. So yeah, I do know them.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I knew it, but just in case, I don't assume, Entonces, bueno, le había preguntado, él hizo la pregunta, ¿cuál sería el guitarrista que estaría por arriba en vivo, por sobre lo que es grabado? Y para él era Randy Rhoads. Yo le conté un poquito de que la banda Kinex me voló la cabeza cuando los vi en vivo, tenía varios de sus discos, sí, me habían gustado, pero cuando los vi en vivo me volaron la cabeza, tuve que volver a escuchar los discos de ellos, y terminó siendo su banda favorita. Si bien Queen y Zeppelin son también sus bandas favoritas para otro tipo de cosas, como banda, por ser un trío y por cómo está estructurada y cómo suena en vivo, es la banda favorita. Jeff, coincidence, it was a coincidence that it ended up being your favorite band.
Yeah.
So Jeff, thank you for spending some time with me, with your fans all over the world. Whatever you want to say now is your time to share it.
Gracias. Yeah,
oh, let me show you last time we have an interview. Fisu, ¿tenés la foto con Cosmosquad ahí que te la mandé?
La busco ahora, dale.
Okay. Well, I was checking. Actually, it's funny. I tried to find the video that we have our first interview. It was at the EMI. It was Shane and Maloney.
Christopher
Maloney. Yeah, that was years ago.
There we are.
Yeah. When we were young.
I think maybe 2007, 2008.
Yeah, 2007. Yeah, it was the first time that I tried to see that interview so I get a grasp or what happened, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
I found one with Steve Vai casually that I didn't know I interviewed him, so it was like, hey, okay.
Well, that's good. You found that.
Yeah. I thought I never interviewed him, but it was.
You know what's interesting? I'll just add one thing.
Yeah.
We're talking about King's X. So earlier you asked me about who was in the video of that band for the new record. And Big Red was on guitar. We have this band called Bleeding Harp. And if you go on to, I think iTunes has it, there's a song featuring Doug Pinnick from King's X. And we're doing Whippin' Post by Allman Brothers.
Wow.
And Doug came in the studio 11 a.m. and he brought in some Honey Jack whiskey. Gave everybody a couple of shots. I'm like, hey, Doug Pinnick, let's do this. He was in the control room. We got 5 guys in the studio, basically the Bleeding Heart Band. And we cut that track live in the studio. He sang it 3 times. We picked the first take and took like 2 lines from the second take and done.
Sweet.
Then we drank more whiskey and that was
it. You got drunk, yeah.
But amazing nice vocal performance, yeah. So look that up. Bleeding Heart featuring Doug Pinnick.
Bleeding Heart featuring Doug Pinnick, mírenlo, ok, si tienen oportunidad. Ahí contó la historia, él estaba ahí, Doug, y participó en la canción, así que excelente historia. Estaba toda la banda con Doug Pinnick, que Doug es súper adorable. What a nice guy is Doug. Doug is really a nice guy. Yeah, yeah. Jeff, thank you, brother. Thank you for your time. So maybe when you release a new album, we're gonna keep talking about. There's a lot of things to talk about. So
a lot of things to talk about.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Okay, brother. Take care.
MENA, Income Tax, preparación individual de impuestos.